All right. So what is going on, everybody? This is Sacktown Pete back at it again. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Today, I have a very special guest. Lauren Gunn joins me. She covers the Dallas Mavericks, and we're here talking about the game yesterday and just what's to come ahead for both teams. So, for those of you that don't know Lauren, like I said, she covers the Dallas Mavericks. And Lauren, welcome. It's great to have you on board. And just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah. So first, thank you so much for having me. I always love coming to chat with people from other fan bases. It's always so much fun. But yeah, a little bit about me. I do write for the Mavs SB Nation page, Mavs Money Ball, and I also co-host the Gunshot podcast with my brother Grant Gunn, where we cover not just the Mavericks but every NBA team. And kind of just give a sibling perspective on the league as a whole. But yeah, I grew up going to Mavs games. My family has had season tickets my whole life. And so been fortunate enough to kind of see some of the games just close up. Obviously, even some of the years that were not so fun. But yeah, just overall, big Mavs fan, big NBA fan. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great stuff. And guys, go show her some love. I'll definitely link her links in the description below. Give her a follow on Twitter. She's very active on Twitter as well.
Mhm.
So I'll link all the good stuff in the description below. So let's talk about yesterday's game.
Mhm.
Man, it was different because I thought Kristaps Porzingis would play. So
Mhm.
let's just start off with that. What is going
Okay.
on with Porzingis currently? Is he hurt or is he out of the rotation? Like what's going on?
Yeah, so it seems like he's struggling with some injury. Obviously, like he's been ruled out for a couple games now, but it does seem like he is injured. And the back with what they're calling it, I to be honest, I don't fully know the extent of what exactly is going on, but I do know it is a legit injury. They're not just kind of sitting him out, waiting to trade him or anything like that. If people are waiting for that shoe to drop, I think that's a little bit premature as of right now.
Yeah.
But I do think that if he is currently experiencing a more significant injury or even um, other previously related injuries, like anything lingering there, maybe there is a chance that maybe they are trying to kind of downplay it or call it something else,
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably my worst case scenario, biggest fear. So I'm still kind of waiting to see, because again, this is a super new coaching system that
Yeah.
there's so much change that's happening right now, so they really need to have this time
Mm-hmm.
to grow as a team, gel, and really figure out what their identity is. And so having KP as available is absolutely huge. That was a big thing going into this season, because it was the first time he had an off season to train as opposed to rehabbing. So
For sure.
um, having him out for a couple of games so early on is definitely a little bit concerning. And so it's kind of a we'll wait and see and wait for the update kind of thing right now.
Right on, right on. And like just to make it clear, I've always been a Kristaps Porzingis fan. Even before his Mavericks days, during his Knicks days, I thought he was a flat out stud. And uh you mentioned the new coaching staff. So
Mm-hmm.
what is the vibe been? I know Jason Kidd, Hall of Famer, all time great.
Mm-hmm.
He played for the Dallas Mavericks, and now he's coaching the Dallas Mavericks. So how
Mm-hmm.
has that vibe been all summer, knowing that the Dallas Mavericks went through a coaching change? They have Jason Kidd on board. I believe there's a new general manager in place as well.
Yep. Yep.
So how do you feel about the change, and how do you feel like where that's going to lead to the Dallas Mavericks this upcoming season, this current season, should I say?
Yeah. So I guess to kind of start back at the beginning with what happened in the summer, it was, I always say, a little change can be good. A lot of change is typically bad. And so for the Mavericks, it seemed like our team was in the news every single day, and that is alarming. You never want to be that team.
Yeah.
And so that was very concerning. I was very surprised when the former GM, when he went kind of parted ways with the Mavericks. I was very surprised by that, just because of the history of the relationship there.
Yeah.
I didn't think that would be. I mean, a lot of people were calling for his head, but
Right.
I was still surprised that happened, just given the history of the relationship. So that caught me by surprise, but I was pleasantly surprised, because I was like, they do need to make a change. But the coaching change, at first, I was very concerned. I was like, this is bad. This,
Yeah.
you can't be doing this. But then kind of as time went on, it became very clear that there was a lot more going on behind the scenes, as far as players not gelling or even really liking Coach Carlisle. Maybe, okay, I don't want to say that they didn't like Coach Carlisle, even though a lot of people would come out and say that. Um, but there was a clear disconnect, and you're never going to be successful if you're not all on the same page and you're not all happy with where you're at. And so
Right.
to me, even though he's a fantastic coach and I think he's going to do really well in Indiana, it needed to happen. So kind of looking at where we're at now, it's tricky because with Jason Kidd, obviously the previous coaching records and coaching history hasn't been super, super impressive. And I will give him credit. He's come out and said, hey, in the past, I haven't been good. And the only option is for me to do better. It's not an option. It's, I have to do better. And so this is my home. Like I want to come back. Obviously I was super successful in Dallas. So this is my home. I'm happy to be back. So he's saying all the right things.
Yeah.
And it does feel like the players are happy with where things are at because it's just more free flowing. It's more, he's always kind of talking with them, asking for their input on the system, their role, things like that. And so it seems like a very player friendly environment, but a lot of fans have had concern with how the games have looked so far because some people have said it's too free flowing. It's too, maybe they just need time to gel together. Maybe they'll get better playing off of each other because obviously that chemistry will grow as time goes on. But is it sustainable come playoff time? Is it something? Are the X's and O's there? Is that going to be a problem that gets completely exploited by someone that does have a lot more experience? So those are kind of the biggest questions as of right now. So hopefully we'll get those answered as time goes on.
Yeah, definitely. And that was a concern because, like, anytime you have a coaching staff, well, first of all, if you have a coaching staff in place and the head coach Rick Carlisle in place for a while, there's going to be some type of change, and whether that leads to regression or that leads to just a change in the offensive flow and just overall the culture, the chemistry of the team. I can kind of relate to that because 2 years ago, or should I say 3 years ago, we had Coach Dave Yeager here in Sacramento, who led us to our best season in 13 years, a little over a decade. And then we decided to, pull the plug and bring in Luke Walton. So, that first year, it was definitely a change, a regression, should I say, because I was like, wait, we have the same exact team that we had previously under Dave Yeager. It's adjustment. You got to adjust. Yeah. You got to make the most of it. And now Luke Walton's in his third year. Surprisingly, my opinion, I thought he was gone after last season just because of the inconsistency of the Sacramento Kings play. And the players voiced their opinion, and De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton came out and said that, no, this is on us. It's not on Coach Walton. So I think that had a big factor of him returning for his third season. And, so far it's too early, 6 games. We're 3-3 as a record. The Mavericks, Luka Doncic put it on us yesterday. So it was, he's a bad boy. He's a stud. He's a stud. Boy. I mean, that logo 3, I'm like, oh man. And the crazy thing about it, the ball didn't even hit the rim. It just went in.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it.
How has the vibe been since Luka Doncic was in the Dallas Mavericks when the Mavericks made that draft day trade? I believe it was Trae Young. For Luka. What was your impressions? Like, what was your thought when the Mavericks made that trade for Luka Doncic on the 2018 draft?
Yeah, so I remember exactly where I was when it happened, which is not normal. Normally, I'm like, oh, I don't remember. But I remember that trade going down and going into that draft. This is going to sound absolutely crazy, but I wanted Michael Porter Jr., Mo Bamba, or Trae Young. Those were the guys that I wanted. Okay. And I didn't. So I just never thought we were going to get Luke. I was like, he's not going to be there at 5, and trading up from 5 is so hard. So that was just never even something that I saw as a possibility. Yeah. And then I remember him getting drafted at 3, and it just saying rights to Dallas, and I was like, oh my God, how on earth did they pull this off? And then going into the summer league, it was like, he's not playing. He's not going to play. And it wasn't like an injury concern thing. It was kind of like and maybe this was just like Mavs Twitter, like being overconfident or whatever, not overconfident. That's the wrong word. But we were all kind of like, this feels like the way they're talking about this guy, this kid, I should say, he's like 2 weeks younger than me, but they're acting like, I mean, this kid, we know he's good, but they're talking about him like he is the real deal, like something just so special. And so we were all just dying to see him get out there and see what he was going to look like. And then he gets out there and we're watching him, and his rookie year, there's a game, for a lot of Mavs fans, there's a game against the Rockets where he that I don't remember if that was like his first game, but like one of his first games where he just absolutely took over on the clutch.
Yeah.
And it really gave you a taste of how good this guy's about to be. And most Mavs fans will never ever forget that game and
Yeah.
that season, really just realizing how special this kid was. Is.
Man, I you know what, you Mav fans, I'm happy for you guys enjoying Luka Doncic because obviously with the number 2 overall pick, the second Kings, I wanted. So the thing with me is like I didn't mind Marvin Bagley at all,
Yeah, good. Yeah.
but the talk about Luka coming out of the Euro sensation, the
Yeah.
MVP, the youngest MVP and whatnot, I'm like, God, I had an idea. I thought like he would have gone number 1 to Phoenix because at the time Igor Kozgov was the head
Yep.
coach and he coached the national team.
Right.
So I was like, oh, there's a connection there. So we might just get Ayton or Bagley, or even I like Marco Porter Jr. a lot too. I mean, I know he got hurt in college,
Right.
but his stock was in the limbo just because of the quote unquote red flags of his injuries and his
Right.
medical records. I was high on Michael Porter Jr. I was like, you know what? If we can't get Luka or Ayton, Porter Jr. should be an option, or even
Yeah.
Bagley. But when the Suns took Ayton and 1, I'm like, oh my God, the Kings got to go. I think the Kings can go get Luka. This is
Yeah.
going to happen. We're going to have Luka, Fox, Bogdanovich at the time. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to happen. He's
Stars are
available.
aligning.
And then the pick is in. They choose Bagley. I was actually at the draft party, and
awesome.
well,
no, not awesome.
I mean, they drafted. When they heard Bagley's name, there's a mix of boos and cheers.
Really,
a lot of fans wanted Doncic and Sack,
wow.
and it was kind of like, okay, this is the highest pick we've had in our franchise for a long, long time, and
Wow.
I'm hoping we didn't screw this up. But I get the
Yeah.
vibe leaving the arena. I'm like, I'm 50-50. I don't know.
Yikes.
So fingers crossed. Hopefully Bagley pans out. And Bagley had a good, solid rookie season under Dave Yeager. It's just the last 2 years, and even this year. Currently right now he's just out of the rotation for whatever reason. But the nagging injuries have set him back, and I unfortunately feel for him because I do want him to succeed. And when you look at the Kings Twitter, when it comes to Marvin Bagley and some of the videos I've done on Marvin Bagley on my channel, Kings fans are very critical of him.
Yeah.
And they just, they want to be critical. And I get it. Once you're taking number 2 overall, you're going to be critical because you got, you see Luka Doncic tear it up. You're seeing Trae Young, Mo Bamba's coming along. DeAndre Ayton's a fantastic big guy. Yep. On the come up, and Jaren Jackson Jr. So all these other players are kind of the Kings Twitter's like, hey man, like we got stuck with the worst one out of all of them. So it's very unfortunate because I don't think it's entirely Bagley's fault. I mean, I think from talking to his dad previously a couple times on social media, even at the games as well. He's a good kid. His family, his dad's he's a good dad. I mean, he's just sticking out and doing what's best for his son and wants his son to succeed. But the pick obviously hasn't unfortunately panned out for us here, and it's obviously kind of set us back. But it's kind of more of like, okay, if he's healthy now and he's not in Luke Walton's rotation, like what is really going on? Because I wanted Bagley to have a big season or, start off being the rotation and being a part of the rotation. And that's just not the case right now. So it's very unfortunate. I mean, I want it to work out as much as I want to believe that it will work out. It's looking like the Bagley era in Sacramento, unfortunately, is going to be coming to an end. So at this point, it is what it is. I want to talk about Luka. So the last 2 seasons, he's led his team, Mavericks, to the playoffs. Unfortunately, they haven't won a playoff series. Is this year in particular, is there pressure on Luka Doncic to lead the Mavericks to a playoff series victory?
I think there's always going to be pressure when you've got somebody like that. But if they fail, if they are another first round exit, the pressure, I guess, from the national media and I think even from Mavs fans will not fall on Luka. I think everyone's looking at Luka like, what more can he possibly do? It's really people, and unfortunately, it depends where you are on this stance, but a lot of fans will be voicing and have already started to voice their concerns for Mark Cuban, and because he is the head decision maker at the end of the day. And so a lot of people have voiced their frustration saying, hey, what we've got right now is not going to take us where we need to go. And Luka is that good to where if you have the right pieces around him, there's no reason that he couldn't get the whole job done.
Exactly.
And right now, the feeling is that we don't have those pieces from Mavs Twitter. And so it's really tough right now because there's the biggest question mark is with Porzingis and what is he? Can he give you those second star numbers? Because last year, I think a lot of Mavs fans felt like, hey, our 5 through 10 guys on our roster are not bad. Like they're not, we have depth. The problem is the 2 through 4. Right. And who's giving you those numbers? Tim had an excellent season last year. His contract extension was very favorable, I thought, for us. And so we're all very glad to have him back, but we need a clear-cut starting lineup that's going to be able to build continuity and that there aren't glaring questions with. And right now, there are glaring questions. And so, short answer, right now, the pressure is not on Luka.
Right.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And speaking of Tim Hardaway Jr., it's like, I swear, every time like the Kings made a run and closed the lead to like a point or two yesterday's game, that dude he's a stud. He's crazy. He makes big buckets, man. And I'm like, oh, somebody put a body on him or stop him. He's a good complementary player in your guys' rotation, and for sure. He complements really well with Luka because when Luka's out there dropping dimes and he can shoot, that's a great combo to have. So is Kristaps Porzingis, can he be the Robin to Luka Batman, bearing no injuries if he's healthy? Can he be that Robin?
So I do think that he can be. It's difficult because last year he put up on his most efficient shooting season ever. He put up 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 block. Those were his averages last year, which are not bad numbers. And if for Mavs fans that were watching every single game, it was so frustrating. And I've talked about this a couple of times. It was so frustrating to see them try and highlight him in the offense. And if he gets going, and then they just completely go away from him and don't pass him the ball the entire game. And it wasn't like, oh, Luka, you're not passing the ball. It was Rick Carlisle. It doesn't really seem like you're trying to use him that much in the offense. And then in the fourth quarter, when Luka's being doubled and tripled or whatever the case may be, everyone's expecting Porzingis to just step up and light it up. And that's just not how it works. And so it's very difficult because now I'm starting to wonder, for NBA roster construction, is it best? Like, you kind of do get your hand forced into having to pay big men max money, but is it best to be paying big men like this much money? And that, again, that's not something that can just flip and just change. That's never gonna, I don't know that would happen, but right now with the Mavericks having no more money to spend, they have to be really crafty with how they're going to eventually get the roster that they feel that they can contend for a title with. And I do think Porzingis can put up the numbers offensively. Defensively, again, there are still those question marks, but he has shown significant improvement from last season. Just overall engagement being there just has him there as the rim protector. I think with his build, even though he's put on a lot more weight since he first entered the league, because he's 7'3" and has the frame that he has, he doesn't need to be banging down low with someone like Joel Embiid or Jokic even. He needs to be the weak side rim protector. And so personally, I'm fine with him being that guy and just providing this paint presence if he's not just bodying somebody up. I'm fine with that. And so I think in that sense, he can be the Robin, but you do need a little bit more. And right now, personally, I think the biggest thing, I think Dallas could look completely different, especially come playoff time, if they get, again, the secondary ball handler and the big next to Porzingis that allows that the defensive-minded big, Rashawn Holmes would have been absolutely perfect. And a guy like that can just guard any opposing big and allow Porzingis to consistently just worry about rim protection. I think that would completely change the dynamic and just overall functionality of this team.
Right. And you mentioned Rashawn Holmes. We're grateful and thankful for Rashawn Holmes to returning to Sacramento. I mean, if I'm being completely 100% honest, I thought, because there was some interest from the Mavericks, the Toronto Raptors, and I think there's another team that was interested in him as well. I thought he was going to get paid this summer.
I did too.
I thought he was going to get the bag, and I thought that we had no chance of re-signing him. But with all things considered, he decided to return to Sacramento on a legitimate, like a 4-year, $46 million deal, whereas opposed to where he could have got 60, 70 million in the market.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I was
wow.
surprised. I was
I
very
was
surprised.
surprised myself because I'm thinking like, okay, he returned back on the deal. He could have got more, and he could have possibly gone to a better playoff caliber team.
Right.
But he believed in our core. He believed in Luke Walton, and I was shocked that he came back, but in a good way, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Yeah.
In a good way. I just thought like, hey, he has offers out there, and he decided to come back. Just shows you about the exciting times hopefully ahead for the Kings because
Yeah.
the core's in place. They got to get with it. Luke Walton's still the head coach, and um, I love Rashad Holmes. I mean, I love the family too. They are awesome people.
Yeah.
Seeing them going crazy in the stands and even at home as well, celebrating after the wins, it's pretty funny and it's pretty exciting to see them.
That's
And
awesome.
I'm excited to see Rashad Holmes continue to build and get better. A lot of his success, a lot of the King's success is relying on him right now because when he hasn't been on the court, there's just he brings that high motor energy and he's a good pick and roll player, and he's got that
Mm-hmm.
shot put shot as well. So
Yeah.
it's like a lot of our success heavily relies on him when he's on the court. He's been a couple of games this far. He's been in foul trouble and he's been off the court, but when he's on the court, he's been a double machine for us this season thus far. So, with that being said, what are your expectations for the Dallas Mavericks as overall as a season this year? I know we talked about Luka, talked about Porzingis, but as far as like coming off of the season that you guys had last season, this season, like what are the expectations? Obviously, you want to see playoffs, but you also want a playoff series victory, correct?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, obviously, we want to see taking that step forward to getting past the first round. I think a reasonable expectation, and it might floor people that might view this as bias, which is fair, but I think the Mavs are capable of being a top 5 team in the West. And I think the two biggest reasons for that, well, I guess 3 biggest reasons for that. 1, Luka is that good. 2, our division is absolutely terrible. We've got Houston, New Orleans. Okay, like that's 12 games right there. Like our division, we should get a lot of wins there. You got teams that are not fully healthy in the West. Denver just absolutely smacked us the other day. But
I saw that.
Again, I still think this team has a lot to figure out. But
yeah.
And so maybe there's an argument there for, okay, well, then maybe you won't perform as well as you think. But I think on paper they should. And Luka is good enough to get them 45, 50 wins. And so we'll have to see what happens there. And we'll have to see what playoff matchup they're looking at. Oh, what I was starting to say, Denver's not fully healthy. Clippers aren't fully healthy. And who did I say? Denver. Oh, and the Lakers, I think towards the end there might load manage because they just don't have to win. So, or win in the regular season, I should say. And so I think that there's opportunity there for Dallas to try and work their way up and really try and get the best record possible to get that home court advantage, as opposed to being like, okay, well, maybe we should sneak down to like 5th or 6th, or even try not 7th, but like 5th or 6th and try to strategically play this team again. So I think that they're going to try to win as many as possible and get that home court advantage, because that seemed to be huge these last 2 times, even though the Clippers is probably the most unfavorable matchup for us. But yeah, again, they have a lot to figure out in terms of rotation. Frank Ntilikina is having a really good season so far, even though his role is pretty limited. He's starting to get more and more, and I do think he's actually going to do really well with this system. He just needs a little bit of time. Reggie Bullock is another guy who we signed obviously this last offseason, but is really starting to find his niche, I guess, with this team. And I think he's going to be a really, really big part of the rotation down the stretch of the season and into the playoffs.
Right. Okay. And you speak of home court advantage. It's going to be you're going to need home court because now that with the fans back in the stands, and it's actually a home court advantage now because previously in the bubble play there was no fans in attendance, so it's like, oh, it's just cardboard cutouts, or even like during the season last year it was just cardboard cutouts. Like I was excited. I know my team is not they haven't made the playoffs in like 15 years, but just the whole experience of me watching. I know the Kings got the invite to the bubble to play like the final 8 games, and they didn't do so well. So, but I missed that. Like I would have loved to go to a game last year, and the fact that they're letting people in the stands now, considering the fact that the world, the timing that we're still living under these circumstances, I was excited to be back in the stands and just to see this team. And
For sure.
I think that with the playoffs, obviously springtime, the playoffs are here. They approach and they're upon us. I think home court's going to be a big advantage for the 1 through 4 seeds.
For sure.
What else can I ask you? So the Dallas Mavericks. So you see them as a top 5 Western Conference team, potentially?
I think they're capable of doing that. I'm actually a lot higher on the Warriors this season than I feel like.
Oh wow.
I feel like a lot of people are high on the Warriors, but I think the national media hasn't really. I mean, they're always talking about Steph, and God, they seems like they won't stop talking about Clay right now. But
Yeah.
I genuinely think that the Warriors could do a lot of damage this season,
I,
especially in the playoffs.
I think so. I think so too. I mean, they're really good right now without Klay Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look at that roster construction, I mean, they're solid. Jordan Poole is expected to
Yeah.
have a big year. He's already having a good year.
Yeah.
And Damian Lee has been fantastic for them. And so I think that they're in a really good spot. But let me say that I think the opportunity, the thing with Dallas is that there are so many questions. So there's a chance that they could be top 4, but I think there's equally as good of a chance that they find themselves barely squeaking out of the play-in game or even in the play-in game, because again, the West is really tough.
Very tough.
So it's tough because you never want to be the team that you want to know what the expectation should be. And you want to know, hey, this is what we can do. And maybe because when you know exactly who you are, you know exactly what you need to do to improve. And while a lot of people feel like, hey, this would help or this would help, I mean, people are divided on it. Like most Mavs people would say, we need the secondary playmaker. That's what we need. Everyone knows we need that. And that's true. But I have said, and I don't know that I necessarily think that we need this more than the secondary playmaker, but there is a huge need for that defensive minded big next to Porzingis. And so where does Dallas look at getting better next? And they don't have a whole lot of draft assets. So if I had to guess, it would be the secondary playmaker. But right now we've got a lot of bigs on this roster, and I don't really know that we have a super solid front court duo that could take you a long ways in the playoffs. And so there really are so many questions. And again, the biggest reason I think that they have the potential to be top 4 is just because of how significant of a ceiling raiser Luka is.
Yeah.
But we'll just, I hate saying we'll have to wait and see, but it seems like that's all I say these days. So.
All right. Well, hey, I'm with you on that, and I agree. The Western Conference is very tough. It's like every season the Western Conference just gets tougher.
Yeah.
And it's like for my Kings, like I got them slated in at number 10, potential play-in bid, and then we'll just see where we go from there. But like I said, we're 3-3. There's some positives so far this season. Davion Mitchell is a stud defensively.
Fantastic
just like the whole defensive culture that he's brought in and just making other guards rub off him and play defense. I love the pick. I had him in my top 5 draft board before the draft, and the Kings Twitter and the community were like, Pete, you're crazy. We have 2 guards.
Yeah.
There's no way we're taking another guard. I'm like, you know what? Never say never. I mean, never say never. I mean, he's a two-way player. He's pretty good offensively, although his offensive numbers, he's got off to a slow start this season. But I know what he's capable of.
I'm not worried about his offensive.
I'm not worried about his offense either. But God, his defensive just like the defensive background that he brings. I mean, we haven't had shutdown, lockdown defender in a long time. So I'm excited there.
It's so hard to find guys like that. It really, really is, because guys that don't just play with the effort, but like you said, can come in and just really impact the culture. It is so hard to find guys like that. And Davion Mitchell, like, it blows my mind that so many people, like, around the draft time were like, okay, well, he's older. Like, what's his true ceiling? There are some concerns there. When you watch him in college, he was just the most well-rounded player. Right. And he has the leadership quality. Like, he is what you want in a draft pick. And maybe we've already got De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton, but Davion Mitchell is just, he's a dream prospect in my mind. And so one way or another, long-term, short-term, whatever, I think they're going to be able to make it work, and it will be just fine.
Yeah, they'll definitely make it work. The talent's there to make it work.
It
So
is.
I don't have any doubts with that. I am a little concerned with our head the snake, our head honcho in the De'Aaron Fox. Just these 6 games, he hasn't been the De'Aaron Fox that we're accustomed to seeing.
Mhm.
But I think it's in a good way. That's good that he's struggling and we're 3-3 because
Mhm.
I have a
Yeah.
hard time believing that if he was not struggling, we'd obviously have a better record, but we don't. But we're still 500. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that De'Aaron Fox is still yet to arrive this season, and I expect him to get back to doing what he's been doing his, especially majority of the last year. I mean, we saw him after the All-Star break. He put up like 27 in the game
Yeah.
and
He was
7, 8
tough.
assists. He was tough, and I feel like King's Twitter is going crazy after not seeing him produce where we're
Yeah.
accustomed to seeing, after 6 games. I'm trying to tell my people like, hey, relax, guys. It's 6 games. Like he's gonna get
Yeah.
with it. I think that for the Sacramento Kings to even consider being a playoff caliber team this season, or potentially win a play-in game, De'Aaron Fox is going to lead us.
Yeah.
He has to lead us, and he's got to be the guy to get us there
For
because
sure.
we gave him the keys to the franchise. We gave him the max extension last summer, and he's in his first year of his new deal this season. And so far, he hasn't showed up yet. And I get the frustration. I get the fans, voicing their opinion on social media.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm not worried about it. I think he'll
Yeah.
be fine. I just think that he's put on weight, and but that made him slower because we're
Mm.
used to
Yeah.
being him. We're used to having him seen and blazing fast and being dynamically
Right.
fast. But I think he'll be fine. I think
Yeah.
people just
I
need
think
to
so
kind of
too.
relax, and I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think he will be too. And one of the biggest things that I think everybody should really try to keep in mind, and it's really just in Mavs Twitter. Sometimes I see it. I see it every day. Not sometimes. I see it every day.
Yeah.
Is people struggle to remember that this is not like a year to year thing.
Right.
This is a long term thing, and when you've got someone like Luka, you got someone like De'Aaron Fox. Okay, yeah, maybe there will be rough patches. Last year, Luka was shooting 9% from the 3-point line to start the season, and
Wow.
towards the end was making a solid argument of, okay, maybe I should be like, our team record might not be there, but I'm putting up MVP caliber numbers. So, I mean, the point is that there's always going to be, when you have someone that good, like they're going to get there and they're going to continue to improve. And so sometimes you have to remember that, okay, these first 10 games or even first 15 games sometimes that's a small sample size, and over the course of a long-term extension, like it will balance out, and it will work out. Every now and then maybe it won't, but for the most part it's going to work out when you've got those guys.
All right. Okay. So I have to ask you this.
Yeah.
Favorite all-time Dallas Maverick basketball player?
It's gotta be Dirk.
I was just gonna say I have an idea.
Yeah, he's oh god. I mean, the story of just obviously one team, 21 years, like or 21 seasons, I should say, is unreal. But just who he is as a person, getting to see that for so long, he's amazing. So I'm very glad that he's back officially in a special advisory role. It's nice to see him in the building every now and then, and just see him still showing the love, especially when Steve Nash tried to snag him, get him over in Brooklyn, and he said,
And I
I'm
remember
not leaving Dallas.
I remember that deal because back then when they were both Mavericks and we were playing in the playoff series against them.
Yeah.
And there was some fun playoff series games that we had during our Chris Webber days, Mike Bibby days, and
oh yeah,
Steve Nash, and man, that pick and roll with Nash and Nowitzki, oh my god, it was lethal. It was lethal. It was fun too. It was fun to watch. Like those two. I mean, I wanted Nash's tenure to be longer.
Yeah.
But then
so did we.
It just was like, whoa, he left Dallas. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, that was I think a lot of people are still hurting from that. But yeah, with Luka is, a lot of people, like, I heard people his rookie year kind of talk about, okay, this guy is like, the expectation is that he's a bigger kind of Steve Nash type player. Yeah. And then he came in and was like, oh my god, this guy's nothing like Steve Nash. He's Luka. Like he is Luka. And so I always go back to that sometimes when I think about Steve Nash, especially because I'm 22, and so
Okay.
seeing the Mavs over the span of my life, obviously there's a lot that I do remember, but there's also a lot that I don't remember. So try to keep that in mind just when
Right
I'm
on.
when I'm thinking back.
Right on. Right on. Do you think Luka Doncic? I know it's so early, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
We've seen Dirk Nowitzki lead the Mavericks to an NBA championship
Mm-hmm.
in 2011, I believe, against the
Yep.
Big Three in Miami. The word, oh, he did it the right way. So it was one team, whereas star players, cough, cough, LeBron James, packed his bags and he left to South Beach. And
Mm-hmm.
okay, but anyways, Luka Doncic, if he wins a championship with the Mavericks, if he leads to another championship, brings the city another championship, um, is he up there with Dirk Nowitzki when it's all said and done?
Yeah, when it's all said and done, he's got to be. He's the way he's come in, and not just come in and like put up the numbers and shown the city the kind of talent that he's had, but he's come in and he has already just done so much for the city. And so I do think that he has the I guess ability to be up there with Dirk. Obviously, Dirk has done so much. Dirk has come out and said that Luka is up there with me and that he is already better than I was at that age. And I mean,
Wow.
Dirk is always going to be like that. He's never going to be like, oh yeah, I'm the GOAT or anything like that. That's just not his, that's not his
Yeah.
nature. And it's not Luka's nature either, which is what's so awesome to see them when they're interacting. There was like a couple of weeks ago when the Cowboys played the Eagles and Dirk and Luka were at the game together in a box. And it was just like, oh my god, because they're both so goofy and very much like anytime a game is lost, it was on me, not on the coach, not on the team, it was on me. They have so many similarities despite being from having such different backgrounds. And so Luka absolutely has the potential. I keep saying ability, capability, but I'm potential. He does have the potential to be up there with Dirk,
Right.
even though he'll never say it now.
Right. Right. And that's great to hear. Just like, you get to enjoy the greatest European prospect or player of all time, the last 21 years with Dirk Nowitzki. And then you got a second coming chest there, another one that's going to be great. I mean, we knew he was going to be great in his rookie year because we saw him
Yeah.
over games. We saw him play and ball out. I mean, the game winner against the Clippers in the bubble with the step back with
Oh
the
my
game.
gosh.
I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
He did. He just did that on the Clippers. Like, wow.
Yeah, he's crazy. There have been a couple of game winners, like the one last year against Memphis, where he like got them on the bite and then just like floated. It was a 3-point like floater that he just kind of flipped up there and it went in.
Just went in.
That was like that one. I was like up out of my seat screaming. But the Clippers in the bubble step back three over
Oh
Reggie
my,
Jackson.
that
I
was
had nothing to say. I was so in disbelief and just speechless because I was like,
amazing.
what just
Yeah.
happened? I mean, we're about to go down 3-1 and just like that 2-2. I mean, it was unreal. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just God, never a
It
dull
was,
moment.
yeah, no, you're right. It was amazing. It breaks my heart because that could have been where that
Yeah.
we could have got, but it is what
Yeah.
it is.
It's fair. It's fair.
All I'm hoping for moving forward is for the Kings is to, continue to grow and mature and
We
become the
will.
team we want to become. And yeah, this playoff drought is definitely has to end eventually. All droughts come to an end.
That's right.
Uh, Hopefully we'll see moving forward how the team looks, and we'll see if Luke Walton can get this team back with the win tomorrow night. I know we got a tough one tomorrow night in Utah against the Utah Jazz, but we got we got a good 4-game homestand coming up. So against some winnable, beatable teams, but in this day and age, in this era that we're playing basketball, you just never know. You just definitely
Yeah,
never know.
you do. I mean, you don't ever know. It's tough. But one thing about like the Kings and there are other like Memphis, the Hornets, not that they're necessarily the same team by any means, but when you've got a team where the average guy is young and it's a young team, you just never know what's going to happen when you go against those teams. I mean, last year the Kings beat us, I think, 3 times last season
Yeah, I think
or
it
four
was
times. I
it
don't even
was
know. It
yeah,
was either 3 or 4. So, the thing is like when you've got these young teams, they're hungry, they've got nothing to lose, and they're just going to put it all out there. And so, yeah, you never want to sit there and be like, oh, this is an easy win going up against, New Orleans or really any young
Right.
team, whether they're projected to be 10th plus or you know what I mean. So you can never underestimate a young team ever.
Right, right. All right. Well, hey, I mean, that's all I have for you. I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to come on. It
Yeah,
was great to, meet you, and great to definitely just chop it up and talk basketball.
for sure.
And Sacktown, go show her some love. I'll link her links in the description below. Just great, fantastic work that you're doing for the Dallas
Thank you.
Mavericks, covering Dallas Mavericks basketball. And at some point during the season, yeah, we'll have to do maybe like a game preview on the next game, and I'll have you
Yes.
come on, and then we'll go from there. So,
Sounds good.
all
Well, thank you
righty,
so much for
well,
having me.
all righty, guys. Well, that's gonna do it for us today's video. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much again, Sacktown. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. Please hit the like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. We will catch you guys in the next video. A big shout out to Lauren Gunn again for coming on. Thank you so much, Lauren. That's gonna do it for us. I will catch you guys in the next video. You guys take care. God bless. Keep pushing forward, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace.